Welcome back to another episode of the Be the CEO of Your Life and Business podcast. This week, Amy and I want to talk about basically not being so rigid.
Oh, yes.
And anybody who's been listening to our podcast for any length of time knows that Amy and I are all about routines, right? We love our routines, we love our schedules, and we're very set in our ways.
Yes.
Right?
Some would say rigid.
Right. Yes. We can be I know for myself, I can be so rigid. And the reason this topic came up is because I was just talking to Amy about the new workout routine that I'm doing. And it's, I've talked about before how I love Beachbody's program. So they came out with something different where every month they have different blocks, right? So I'm doing the iron block, which focuses on strength training, and it's 5 days a week. Now, normally I do some level of activity 7 days a week, 6 days of real like working out. And then on the 7th day, I would typically do like yoga or stretching or something just to be active, right? And I started these blocks in May. And when I looked at my calendar for the next 2.5 months or so, I said, okay, I'm basically not going to be home on the weekends at all. I was traveling almost every weekend in May. I've been away quite frequently this month on the weekends. And so I had to say to myself, okay, you can either do the 5 days during the week, which guess what is fine.
Yeah.
And is
totally
enough.
acceptable.
And try eat as healthy as you can, but do the 5 days during the week and just relax on the weekend. It's not like I'm sitting around doing nothing, right? I'm on my feet 24/7. So I decided that I was going to give myself a little grace and not be so rigid. And if I was away for a weekend, to not push myself and freak out about getting in a workout. And I have to tell you, it's been really working. So last weekend, we were in Maryland for a baseball tournament. I didn't even bring my workout clothes. That is a huge step for me, because I am typically so hard on myself, and like, because I've always done it that way, I have to keep doing it that way. Like I need to do something 7 days a week. I didn't even bring my workout clothes, and we were busy, right? They had games all weekend. We were walking around a lot. So I was still active, but I just wasn't in the gym, which is fine. And it really made me realize just how rigid I can be, and that sometimes it's okay to relax a little bit and maybe change your routine. It doesn't mean I can never go back to it, but for now, during this ridiculously crazy period of time for me, that's what's working the best. And you know how I don't like change.
Oh my gosh, no. So in thinking about this topic, it's so funny because we are creatures of habit. We love our routines, but to say that just by having a routine is getting you to your goals or like going to make you successful or happy, I think misses the point, right? And I think that's where we're kind of going with this, is that, you know, we do have some kind of morning routine or regimen, right? Every single day.
Right.
And we do that not because we want to tout around and be like, oh, hey, we have morning routines. That's not the point of it. The point of it is because we are aligning activities that help us feel good and set us up for success for the day, right? Or for the week. And in the situation like Laura's talking about, if Laura was pushing herself to the point where she had to bring the workout clothes, she had to make sure she got, you know, the workouts done that she wanted to do while she was away, if it didn't happen, then she's setting herself up almost for the eventual failure or misstep, or, you know, step away from her routine. And if it doesn't happen, well, then you have to answer the question of, what does that mean about me? Right? Like, oh, did I just fail? Well, how does that impact my entire, you know, success, or like the track that I'm on? And you start to get so critical and judgy of yourself. It's like, when you take a 10,000-foot view of this, are you okay with the fact that you were just running around like crazy and exerting your energy all day on those Saturdays and Sundays when you're away? Yeah, because you're still moving around. It's not like you're not doing anything. We can just get really tied to these thoughts that you know, the routine is what makes me successful, or this program, or this heavy lifting, or whatever it is makes you successful. But when in reality, it's not. It's actually your thought process surrounding
Ooh,
that.
like that.
Right?
That's good.
I think
yeah, it's so true. And you know what? You're not gonna believe this. You know what else I didn't bring with me when I went away? My shake.
Stop it, Laura.
I know.
Big revelation. Yeah. That's what we should call this one.
And I mean, this probably sounds so stupid to people, but that shake is part of my routine for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Literally every day of the week.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm not going to die
if
I don't, because I don't have the packets. So I would have to scoop it out, put it in a Ziploc bag, bring my shaker cup, the whole to-do.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, it was really only one day that I wasn't going to have it, because I had a Friday morning. I was going to be home on Sunday, so I could have it later in the day. So it was just Saturday. And a couple of the trips that we've taken, I've done that.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I said to myself, like, you have got to take your foot off the gas for a second. Like, it's okay if you don't have that for one day. You're healthy, you eat healthy.
Yeah.
And I love my shake and I love the way, but I'm not going to feel horrible if I don't have it for a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I was so tied to that rigidity, is that even a word?
Yeah.
For so long because of the place that we were in. And it was just like something positive for me to cling to.
And a measure of control.
Yes. And so now that we are out of that and on our own and building our own business and just like enjoying life a little bit more, I guess, I find myself being able to let go of like that grip a little bit. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Because, well, we've also seen the effects of just gripping too hard, because then you're trying to almost chase some form of perfection that you've created for yourself. But again, without really tying to the end goal, like, what is that going to look like? Right. So for example, so Laura's doing this specific block on the platform that we both use. And I'm doing a program that I've done 1,000 times that I absolutely love. Only because I love, and this is the thing, I declared this at the very beginning of this program. It's just because I love the program. I love the workouts. I love the motivation. The cast is hysterical. So every morning I'm cracking up while I'm working out. And rewind about 5 years when I first did the program, I had specific goals that were tied to the end result of that program. Like after 80 days, I wanted to achieve X. And I'm approaching it now very differently, where I'm just like, every day, I just want to know that I do a workout that I really enjoy, that I know is doing something for my strength gains and my goals, and that I'm also having fun and like really enjoying the cast. And I'm not just doing something because the company came out with a new product or a new program or whatever, because we used to be,
which is how it used to be.
Yeah. And now I just wanted to do something because for me, it's just going to make me happier. And I'm telling you, these workouts are like 60 minutes long. Some of them are shorter, which is fun too. But I don't mind. Like, I actually really enjoy the time because it's extra time for myself that I'm just in a zone where everything is good. Like, I'm happy. I'm challenging myself. I'm pushing weights like much harder than I have been. I'm using heavier weights than I've been using in a really long time. And it's just like felt really good without really having that tied expectation at the end.
And without having to grip so hard
to
your routine. Like now I'm finding that I'm just enjoying the workouts more, enjoying my routine more, because like this morning, was it today or yesterday? Yesterday, I had to get Matthew to school by 8:15. So I did not have time to do, because the workouts, 3 of the workouts during the week are 45 minutes. So, I had to do the workout, I had to shower, and I had to be dressed before I got Chris and Kaylee up, because I knew I was going to have to take Matthew to school. And so I even cut down. I was like, all right, I can't read this morning. I did my gratitude journal. And I always read Tim Tebow has a 365-day devotional.
Oh,
so I
nice.
read one passage every day. So I did that, which took me 2 minutes. And then I went right into my workout. Now, even like 6 months ago, 6 months ago would have been in a panic, trying to figure out how I could get my entire routine into that short period of time. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll just do pieces of it. Got my workout in, and then I was on my way.
It's that sense of like letting go of the control. I mean, I think that's a very big point of it, from the environment that we used to be in, where there was no sense of order and control. And so we were controlling the controllable. And this is just one of the things that we could control within our realm. And my theory, and I was mentioning this to Laura before we started recording, is that like ever since we became business owners and doing our own thing, and not only just business owners, but expanding our team, that window or circle of controllable things is shrinking like by the minute, because truly things can go sideways, backwards, upside down, rolling around so quickly. And you feel like your head is spinning off your shoulders, right? And I think that what we're doing is we're kind of untraining ourselves to be as rigid in approaching things. What did I say a few weeks ago? It was like, be rigid with your goals, but be flexible in your approach.
Yes.
And that's something that I think that we've had to really learn in business too. We have specific goals. We can put the best laid plans out there as to how we're going to achieve them. But if you are not realizing that the unexpected could happen, or things might just go awry, or they might just not go in the direction that you thought they were going to go in because they're going in a better direction, then you just have to roll with it.
And the rolling with it and the flexibility has been our biggest problem.
So difficult, because it's really a mind thing you have to unravel.
And I think because we were in a place where we were gripping so hard for so long, it's hard to shift your mindset to be able to let go like that. And it may sound absurd that for me, letting go looks like not working out 7 days a week, but that's a huge step for me.
Or skipping
mentally,
a shake.
Or skipping a shake. Yeah. That's a huge step for me mentally, in letting go and just being able to relax a little bit and to roll with it. And I find myself in certain things that have happened, in our business, I find myself being able to roll with it more. Yeah. And just say, okay, moving on.
Yep.
Next.
Totally. I think it's truly a marker of just learning more about yourself and what your specific needs are in certain seasons. And I think it's very relatable for a lot of people that are going to be listening to this, because it could apply to any aspect of your life. It could apply to the routines that you set up for your kids and getting them out of the house, which is just it's like a circus, or bedtime routines, or whatever it is, for example. And like along those lines, Joey and I resolved that with our youngest right now, he's just giving us a run for our money when it comes to bedtime routine and dealing with him waking up in the middle of the night. And we're just rolling with it. We're just tackling the problem together, as opposed to getting mad that this is happening. It's like, just roll with it. It's going to be here for a short season of time, and just let it play out the way that it's playing out, and then adjust.
I was so bad at that when my kids were your kids' ages. And when I used to have to, perfect example, the morning routine. I used to have to, especially when Mike was working in the city and it was just me, right? Yeah. Getting them out in the morning. I had like an exact period of time where they had to be up. They had to be eating breakfast. They had to be brushing their teeth. They had to be getting dressed. And there was no like deviation from that. Right. And when something went wrong, or Kaylee was throwing a fit that she didn't want to wear a certain outfit or whatever, I would be so stressed about it, to the point where I would feel sick. Yeah. And it was just like, you have such a better attitude about it at this point than I did when I was where you are. Because looking back on it, it's like, okay, sometimes you just have to let it go. Yeah. And let them, right? Mel Robbins, my favorite, literally her favorite my favorite ever podcast, I think, that she's ever done. sometimes you have to let go of the control.
Yeah.
And just let it.
I feel like this is very akin to when parents say like, oh, with your first, you're going to be like a nut job. But then with like the second one and then the third one, you just start to like ease off the gas a bit. I think that that's the progression that we're also talking about. If, you know, just to put something else out there to be relatable, is like, you just start to learn as you keep going through these experiences that making yourself crazy and tying yourself to something so specific, if it's going to drive you nuts in the process, then it's not worth doing. It's not worth doing it that way. And just figure out another way to do it. Like, you know, I think this is easier said than done. Look, we are walking examples of how much easier said than done it is, because it's a struggle. We've struggled with this ourselves. But it's just funny how as we continue to grow in our business, I feel like we're making the similar transitions in the way that we approach a lot of different things in our lives, because we just realize that sometimes plans just aren't meant to work out the way that they are.
And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. Like, things have certainly happened that we thought were going to go differently. And if you can't adapt, you're not going to make it.
No.
Like because I lived like that for so long, like not being able to, struggling to adapt, not liking change. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm totally transformed and I don't care about my
brand new Katina.
I'm not. I still cling to my morning routine, and because it's like my saving grace. It's the only time I have for myself, and it's literally my sanity. But you know, you have to be able to let go a little bit, because if you are continuously gripping so hard, you're missing life.
Yes.
You're missing the things that are happening around you. Like when I was away with Matthew 2 weekends ago, I think it was 2 weekends ago, it was just Matthew and I, you know, I took him up to a baseball tournament. It was 2 hours away. And I just enjoyed being in the car with him for 2 hours. And that Sunday morning, his game was not until 12:30. Now the old me would have been like, oh my God, I can get a workout in. I can do all this. You know what I did? We slept in. I took him out to breakfast. We had so much fun. I had such a great time just sitting, talking with him. And had I, you know, tried to force myself into the box of who I used to be to try to work out and fit out, I would have missed out on that.
Yeah.
You know,
isn't that crazy though? I mean, hindsight obviously is 2020 here, because if you had done it the other way, you wouldn't have the foil to compare it to. Right.
Right.
But for the fact that we've started to be a little bit more intuitive and a little bit more self-aware about like what we need right now, you know, and coming down to just the basics of like what your workout routine looks like. If you don't feel like lifting heavy weights because you feel like your body you've been physically and emotionally and mentally taxed, then do something else. But it doesn't mean that you're failure. Like the only person judging you in those moments is yourself.
Oh my God, that is so true.
Because if anybody else is like wasting their time judging you, trust me, they've got plenty to worry about in their own ballpark. Okay. Like they should not be judging you. And it's not worth it. It's like, what feels right to you? What feels like the best thing and the most aligned thing for you in this exact moment?
Yeah, you have to, and listen, it's very hard. It is so hard. But even if you just like take one tiny step, like I had, like this whole workout thing, it's not a huge, I mean, for me, it seems like a huge step, but it's not something huge. But taking that one step has really allowed me to let go of certain things, not just in terms of my workout, my morning routine. So if you feel like you are gripping so hard that you're constantly like this, and I always say, like when I sleep, I feel like I'm never relaxed. Like I think when I'm sleeping, my body is just constantly tense. And it's because of just how, I mean, I think I'm just wired this way. So that's why it's such hard work to like unravel all of it. But it makes, I can't even tell you what a difference this has made for me.
And it's not impossible to just take it a little step at a time and just realize it, because I think that's what you have to do. You have to take that first step in realizing like, all right, I don't have to go as hard on the weekends. And then you start proving it to yourself. And then that book of proof then carries you into other areas of your life too. So I guess we could leave you with that, is just be mindful about just one small tweak and see how it makes you feel. Like if it makes you feel like you're going off the rails, all right, well, maybe that's not the thing that you need to tweak. Maybe it's something else. Or maybe it is that uncomfortable feeling that you should just follow and just kind of experiment and give yourself the chance to kind of figure out what you need to be doing that's best for you.
Yes. So we hope these tips were helpful. We thank you for spending time with us, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.